Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. How you doing?
Nice, nice. Good, man. How you doing?
Doing good, dude. It's a little bit rainy over here. Definitely a bit of a bloody market, but can't complain all things considered. How about you?
Pretty good. Yeah, same thing. It's a little chilly outside right now, but yeah, the market's kind of sucked lately, but it is what it is. Been here before.
Dude, absolutely. When did you get started in crypto?
Oh man, I've been just casually in 2015, I think. So it's been 10 years, and that was when I started buying Bitcoin. And back then, I didn't really know what it was. It was just kind of like I knew like Robinhood had an app, and I was like dabbling in stocks and stuff like that. And then something, I think I was on Reddit or something like that, and I saw a subreddit called ETH Trader. And so I went into that subreddit and I was like, what the hell are these guys talking about? And so I started to look into it. I found out about Coinbase and stuff, and then I started buying Bitcoin and a little bit of Ethereum. It was all very cheap in those days. So now I didn't get rich. I'm not like a multimillionaire or anything like that, but I had a good amount of ETH and some Bitcoin, but I sold some of it on pumps and stuff like that. So we've all made those mistakes. But yeah, it's been about 10 years.
Dang you, that's awesome. I've been in about
Yeah,
four, but appreciate you joining today. I know we don't have too many people in here quite yet,
it's
but
all
hopefully
good.
they file in. And yeah, if not,
Yeah,
dude, I mean, we got a big audience. Lots of
yeah,
people play
yeah,
it back.
dude, for sure. And
Um,
that's just how these things go sometimes. So I'm not worried about it at all.
Heck yeah, dude. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Learned a little bit about you just talking to Graham the other day.
Right,
He was a great episode, and checked out all your content and just loved how glued into the market you were.
right.
We chatted a little via DM, so definitely excited to hear about your trip to ETH Denver. That I know you had some comments on just the market in general, so I figured we
Yeah,
could just chop it up and make some sense of all this blood.
right on. Yeah, ETH Denver was pretty sweet. I've never been to like a crypto conference before. Yeah, it's tough for me to go to those types of things because I got kids and stuff like that. So it's just a hard thing to swing. Are you going to take the kids out there? You're going to find babysitters for them. So, anyways, I was able to make it out to ETH Denver for like 2 days. I think it was like the last couple days of it, and it was pretty sweet. The vibes overall were pretty positive. I mean, I wasn't detecting any negativity or anything like that. It didn't seem like, that was my first one, so I don't have anything to compare it against, but it didn't seem like the turnout was bad or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, it was a good time. There's lots of cool, booths and stuff. I think some videos I have posted on my timeline. You can kind of get a little bit of a feel for what the convention was actually like. And yeah, it was just fun, man. I want to go back next year, hopefully for a little bit longer. And yeah, I met a lot of cool devs too. That was the nice thing. I didn't really go out there to learn or go to the booths, even though that was really fun. But I have met a lot of developers, especially in the AI agent space in the past 6 months or so. And a lot of them were going. So I'm like, let me meet up with some of these guys. And that's what we did. So it was awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like a really fun time. Yeah, my first time meeting some people IRL was like NFT NYC 2022.
Oh, nice.
So I remember I saw on your page that you made a shirt with your profile picture on it,
Yeah.
which I thought was a great idea because
Yeah.
like when you meet people IRL in crypto and everyone's
Right.
got a photo of an animal or something like that, you're like, who the hell am I even talking to?
Yeah, no, I
Um,
wanted to be immediately recognizable, so that's how people know me. So yeah, I had those printed out.
that's awesome. In terms of devs, do you think you saw more independent devs or did you see more so like teams and corporations who were working on products?
There was a good mix of both. There was, not I didn't really meet too many of the big corporations working on these things. That's like a different. level, I guess, or like I don't know how you would call it. You probably need to be a little bit more well known to like for these guys to start spending time. Unless they have like some ambassador type employees that are like connecting with my type of KOL size. But I met with a lot of the AI agent devs, and through them met some other single devs that were just working on projects by themselves. Some of the devs were just like there was one dev there, but they were like representing their team. So yeah, I met with a lot of the virtuals devs because I was going to like the spaces and the events that virtuals was creating or hosting. So I got to link up with some of those guys, and it was really cool.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to ask you a little bit about that because when I had
Yeah,
a chance to speak with Graham, he does the daily virtuals update, and I know you comment on a lot of virtuals projects. I used to be like, that used to be my bread and butter, where that was where all of my attention was focused, sort of split between
right.
that and Solana, but definitely captured a lot of attention. Are there any new projects coming out on virtuals specifically that you think still have some potential? I know right now it's just really difficult with the market bleeding out,
Yeah.
and most AI projects are kind of on life support, but very curious if you got anything that kind of stood out to you as different from a lot of these market analysis bots we saw in the first wave of the AI cycle.
Yeah, so that's interesting, and I love talking about this stuff. Basically, there are some projects, some good ones that are planning to launch, but like they'll ask me like what certain people will ask me details about like what they should launch or like how they should go about the launch and stuff like that. And I've just been telling them, I'm like, dude, don't even. I wouldn't launch right now, to be honest. Not, and I'm not trying to be like doom and gloom or anything, but it's just like launching is one of the biggest events, if not the biggest, for a lot of projects. All right. You want everything to like sync up. You want waves to like coalesce and create like a really big wave, right? So, market conditions is probably like the primary factor as to like how one of the primary factors, I should say, one of the most important, but it's huge in determining whether people are going to allocate capital towards a project or something like that. So, when everyone in this type of market right now, where there's a lot of uncertainty, um, not a lot of people are willing to allocate capital or invest, in other terms, into these launches. So, for the project, I say, don't launch right now. If you can postpone it, and just build. Like this is a building market right now. Like add some. If you think you already got some stuff built, test it more. Maybe add some more features to the product or something like that. But like, wait till the market conditions are like healthy, because you're going to achieve a better market cap. People are going to hold longer. It's going to, be a healthier launch. Especially some of these projects have like pre-sale investors and stuff like that they got like back in January when the market was healthy. People were more willing to like buy into like a pre-sale. Why would you want to launch right now if these people are expecting better returns? I mean, a lot of the valuations that the pre-sales invested in, 1-2 million FDV for a project, and you know if they're gonna get their money out of that, at least pre-salers they expect to like at least make 2x, right? So you wouldn't want to launch right now, in my opinion. There's some
Yeah,
caveats, but yeah.
no, I mean, I think you're spot on. Like, I think it's definitely sort of like a read the room type of scenario where people are so worried
Right.
about the price of, Bitcoin and Solana and just a recession
Right.
in general that it's hard for anything to sustain a pump.
Yeah.
But I really like your comment on just encouraging people to build because I think the desired state of AI agents is pretty far off from what we've seen in the market so far. I mean, the cycle happens so quickly, right? I personally thought it was going to be a bit of a more sustained cycle, just given like with NFTs that went on for about a year and a half, 2 years of just real market interest. And I think AI is, technologically wise or technology wise, just way leaps and bounds beyond NFTs. So I thought the speculation was going to stick. People would see more utility. I thought we were going to have a lot longer. But it kind of makes sense that it did fizzle out because you just saw a crazy saturation of chatbots across the board, and then everybody had, a clone of AI XBT or some market analysis bot. So I think we definitely need something new, and it would be great if people are building it now, so that in a couple of months, if things correct, it's like cool. Now we got a good stage to put out something new and shiny to the world, and I think that would be the appropriate time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a builder's market right now. There's some people, because I've raised some money for pre-sales before, like 'cause they have connections to like groups of people that have money, crypto traders, whatever. It's not like really a cabal or anything. They're not like creating tokens and pumping them, but they're all like relatively done well in crypto. So I can go to these people and say, this is the project, etc. Here's all the details. You can, contribute some USDC to this pre-sale. And some people are coming to me. They're like, yeah, let's get this pre-sale going. And I'm like, no, no, we're not doing that right now. If you want to do that, you can, but we're not doing it through me, because as me being like the liaison between you and the people with the money, there's a lot of pressure that comes down on me if I convince these people to invest in a pre-sale and then a token just does shitty. Then I look like the idiot. So yeah, I've had to tell some people that for sure, and I think they kind of get it, but at the same time, I'm just like, why are you in such a rush? Like, what's the rush? Just build right now, make your product better, fine tune things, build out, other little social media apps or whatever you got to get profiles on, whatever. Just, there's no rush.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. I think that's just like crypto largely has been getting taken for granted in terms of just what are the opportunities. Like I think of just how lucky we are to have a space. Like it's going to sound corny, but like genuinely lucky to have a space where you can just get such great returns so quickly. I mean, if
Right.
you put into perspective the amount of opportunities we've had over the past 6 months, just with the AI cycle and then the meme coin cycle, there was so much stuff, but it just got to a point where people were like rabid dogs of, oh man, I need like something that I can put my entire portfolio into in 5x. And we've talked about it on Does Compute the past couple of weeks, but the whole Libra and then just insider extraction meta of people just like
Yeah.
frothing at the mouth to get in because they needed a quick profit. Like, yeah, the space just got greedy and everyone was rushing to make it big before the market pulled back.
Yeah. It's been, this cycle has elucidated a lot of that nefarious activity, and I'm not a big fan of it. I've never been, I know meme coins are very popular, and I don't expect them to ever go away. It's like a casino, right? And casinos are never really going to go away. There's always going to be people that want to gamble in that way, but I have my criticisms of it. I'm not telling people not to invest in meme coins. Every once in a while, I'll throw a little bit of money at a meme coin just if I think it might do good, but yeah, it's been kind of a negative for the space. God knows how much money has been extracted. I mean, I think some people have tried to calculate it, and it seems to be quite a lot. So there's that, and it's like, what are you going to do about that? I mean, even if it's like Kanye West coin, where everybody just knows there's like an insider cabal, there's still going to be a bunch of people that are going to try to like get in and get out before it gets rubbed. So it's like, it's probably never going to go away. I hate to say it.
Yeah, it's just weird because like it gets to a point where if there's more extractors than there are legit projects, there's just no way for newcomers to make money. And like we saw in
Right.
that period of, post Melania token of all these sort of Web 2 names coattailing off of their status and then selling tokens, it just bleeds the market out so quickly. And then people get scared. And then it's like, okay, well, no one's going to hold a token for longer than 5 minutes. And then you just have nothing, where even organic projects, just people don't care. I'm looking at virtuals and there's just so many projects that have legitimate dev teams. Some of them are still building, but the price is just down 95% from all time highs because everyone's just scared.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets. I mean, Trump is partially the reason for that. I mean, I don't really I'm not like a Trump hater or anything like that, but yeah, we can't deny that these tariffs and all, it's created a lot of uncertainty in the markets. Bitcoin not doing, as well as it was at the end of 2024 isn't helping either, because that's kind of what drives a lot of the liquidity into the altcoins. I mean, if you've held Bitcoin for the past 6 months, you're still up. So it's not like we just have really short-term memories, and then everyone knows like the returns, if you strike it right, are much higher on alts. So I think a lot of people like allocate a little bit too much of their portfolios to alts, myself included. So yeah, I mean it's a tough landscape, especially if you're coming in new. It's tough. I got family members, friends, other people I know that are like, starting to like look into this stuff, and they're like, what should I buy? What should I buy? I'm like, I already learned my lesson on this. I don't tell anybody what to buy anymore unless it's Bitcoin. I just tell people to DCA into Bitcoin with like $100 a month and just like forget about it, because chances are if you just do that, unless you're like obsessed with crypto and you're just like really good at, processing information and connecting with people, you probably just do better just investing in Bitcoin, to be quite honest.
Yeah, dude. No, I completely agree. I mean, it is crazy. I've tried to onboard a few people, and I would say of all of them, the only ones who have ever been profitable are the ones that just get obsessed with it. Because,
Right.
like, I think you really have to be willing to have your own ideas. And I think that's definitely the problem that we saw with a lot of this extraction is that it became herd mentality.
Yeah.
And, I'll see in just so many groups and also on Twitter, people just want someone to tell them what to buy, which is like, of course, you're going to get dumped on because most people don't have your best interest at heart. No one else can trade for you. And anyone telling you to buy something, I would say 95% of the time already bought it. So, like, you're not going to get a good entry unless you start thinking for yourself. But anytime I onboard someone, it's just undoubtedly let me know if you buy anything. And then I'm, now pseudo responsible
Yeah.
for telling them when to buy and when to sell, as opposed to like,
Yeah. I
hey,
know.
thanks for showing me how to, get on Dex Screener. I'm finding all these tokens. These are really interesting projects. Like, you just don't see it.
Yeah. It's tough. I've learned my lesson doing that many times. But yeah, I think these days the cycles are going to be a lot different. It's just a different landscape. Crypto is starting to get recognized on like, a political level, and there's new players that have joined the game. It's like all of a sudden we got these new players that just joined up, and we're all like pretty good at the game, but then we're like, these new players are just kind of like changing the dynamics of it. So, you see all these like comparisons to previous cycles and stuff like that, and these charts that try to show like these patterns, and there might be some, legitimacy to that, but it's going to be different. It's going to be definitely different than it ever has been. You got a lot more things that affect the prices now other than just what used to.
Yeah, I mean, so true. I would say the backdrop is still largely the same. I was onboarding some friends this cycle with AI because I thought it was a little more, normie focused and had some more legs to it. But one of my friends was like, "Oh man, crypto could really depair from the stock market this year." I'm like, "Dude, I doubt it. If the stock market pulls back,
Yeah,
crypto's a risk asset, everything on the risk curve." And
yeah,
we saw that, right? Like a
yeah,
risk curve, alts are way down, speculative projects way down, and then you have the majors that are still down a lot, and then everything is worse. But yeah, what are your thoughts on some of these new players? I'm really curious. Like, we've obviously seen some major banks and VC funds get invested in crypto now. Do you have any takeaways or just thoughts as to what the dynamics might start looking like with such massive whales in the market?
yeah. It's gonna be different. There's gonna be, these whales. I've thought about that. The VC funds. I don't know if these people. You had Trump come in with his like World Liberty Fi, and they're buying up a bunch of stuff. Millions of dollars worth of Ethereum and all that, and I don't know. Does that seem to like have created any buy pressure? It doesn't really seem like it to me right now. So I don't know. It just depends on like how much money starts flowing into this stuff. And, are they going to want to use these legacy blockchains, or are they just going to be like, fuck that, like we want something where we have the advantage, so we're just going to create our own? Like, I don't know how that's going to go, to be honest. So yeah, it's tough to say how that will change the landscape. um, so yeah, I don't know actually the answer to that. It's a tough question.
Dude, I know it's interesting to think about it. Like, I definitely think in terms of adoption, just the case of the strategic reserve is the perfect example of that. Had the world stage, it's gotten approved,
Right,
but such a seldom used event. I know everyone is expecting the US to just funnel, billions of dollars at Bitcoin, but still the sentiment of now we're gonna be stockpiling and having a arms race of Bitcoin. You would think if anything that would do it. So the
right,
fact that it isn't, I mean, I always just think about with stocks, the players in that game are ruthless and they have so many
yeah,
interesting techniques. Like, so many of these news articles, if you go to research a ticker, they're all written by these large banks and hedge funds that, they'll drive up a price, nuke it the next day, no remorse. So when I see these large players like BlackRock or Coinbase get into the game, and you see, we've seen this year with listings, I would say more than we ever have before. Like, a Binance listing used to mean something. It would be a huge pump. Things would 5X. We got a couple of those. And then it just seemed like, what the hell? Like, who is Coinbase partnering with to decide how they're launching these tokens? And it almost seems strategic where every time they got a listing, it would just dump right after. So you're already seeing some
right.
of those effects kind of peek into the limelight.
Yeah, you've seen that. And there's a lot of insiders too that like get this information. It's a lot harder with crypto because it's like some of it really is not really traceable very easily. So if you're like working for a company, or you're like inside, the Trump cabinet, or, the inner circle, like, you can probably pretty anonymously take advantage of insider information, especially with political stuff, which we have not really seen. Like, political people were not crypto people, even just like a year ago, really. Now they are. So, like, anything that happens politically that could affect the markets, you've already seen it on like Hyperliquid. There's like people that were like taking out 50x leveraged longs on Bitcoin, like right before big announcements, and then they shorted it right after. Like, they just knew it was going to go down, and they made like millions of dollars. So like, that's concerning, because like all these new methods of extraction have just opened up, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, I don't think things are just going to like go down or anything like that. I think they're still going to. I think this is all going to get like dragged out for a while. To be honest, like, might just like trade within Bitcoin, might just trade within a certain zone for like a really long time. I really don't know. The game has completely changed.
Yeah, it really has. And I mean, I still personally believe in the risk curve. Like, I think so much of the sell off just has to do with it coinciding with the stock pullback. Like, I'm imagining
Right,
the requirements needed for our next cycle or leg is I guess there's two options, right? You could have crypto stabilize around here. So you could have Bitcoin stabilized right around, let's say, between 70 and 80K, and then ETH and Sol kind of find footing. Then you could just get a really unique project that captures the market. But to your point, now is not really a great time to launch. So you would
right,
need just some brave team or dev to say, you know what, I worked on this, I want to leash it, naturally gain some traction and start a new meta. I think that's one way, because emerging markets usually just do great in terms of speculation. Like, every
right.
100x, every 1000x you see, that's before the VCs know how to participate. So you need something that's really new. Or two, the whole stock market comes back. We get some news like quantitative easing, money gets pumped
Right.
into the stock market, and then, hey, it's risk back on. Everyone's trying
Yeah,
to be in some market.
that's what I think is probably going to be the next. I think the Bitcoin strategic reserve is largely priced in. I think that's what basically got Bitcoin up to like 108 or 109,000 or whatever it kind of peaked out at. Um, Now, I think what people were more expecting and wanted to know that would have maybe caused more of a pump was that the USA was going to like announce like how much of it they were going to buy every year, right? If they came out and said, well, we're going to like contribute like $10 billion of buy pressure to this every single year, then people would want to front run that. And now another big catalyst could be these American coins. If they come out and they say no capital gains on these if you hold them for a year, like the rumor is right now, then that's what I'm actually starting to look to put some money in. And it's like looking up the top 20 American coins and just trying to get in ahead of that, because that could cause a lot of serious buy pressure on those. I mean, no capital gains on them if you hold them for a year is like huge. So you could see a ton of money start going into American coins. So I still think there's like tons of opportunity on these things. I'm not getting out of the market by any means. In fact, I'm paying attention now more than ever. There's going to be lots of opportunities popping up. And then, yeah, my third point on that would be the money supply. Like you said, the global liquidity, inflation. I was like going down because of all this stuff that Trump's doing. So, if that can force the Fed to like start doing some quantitative easing, um, that money will probably go into Bitcoin. A lot of it will.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And it's a great point that you brought up in terms of the top 20 coins, because I feel like only the, top five have really been priced in just because they were specifically mentioned. But it's interesting just how much big news has been teased this year that we haven't quite seen yet, because we've seen them talk about no capital gains tax on stuff for a year. Then there's other rumors that there's just straight up no capital gains tax on crypto. And like the markets didn't really react a ton to that news or rumor the day that it broke versus how
Right.
much it reacted to the strategic Bitcoin reserve. But if you think about, 30% saving, that's monumental. And then
Oh,
again, I think you got to just understand at this point, so much of crypto is a whales game. So, like, if we're talking about no capital gains, you're giving whales the clearance to dump like 30 million plus dollars into stuff where other smaller things don't scale, right? Because there could be great opportunities for some small cap, like AI tokens that we saw last cycle. Those opportunities don't exist really for whales because you can't buy a token in large scale without it going crazy. They got to wait for like the once a year play where they can really size up and all of the volume is there to uh pad that. So if it's
right,
just no capital gains, they can just throw money like crazy knowing there's other people who are going to enter in on that. That's a great trade for
right.
them. So I'm surprised we haven't seen that yet, and I think if the news does come out, then for sure we'll start to see that trade emerge.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the bigger catalysts that you could potentially front run. I highly, highly doubt they're going to say no capital gains on any crypto. They'll create like a frame around it or box it into like American coins or whatever it may be. But yes, I think that's probably one of the things I'm going to start looking to do is just like create a portfolio of just like some of the top American companies or coins, and then hope that actually happens. I mean, he seems like he wants to do that, and he's got Congress for what, 2 years where he could, they got the Senate and the House, so they could do it. I don't know if it'll happen, but they could. And if it does, all those coins are probably going to explode, even way higher than what they're actually worth, in my opinion. But yeah,
No, I completely agree. I'm really curious what Bitcoin's classification is going to be because I mean it's just
yeah,
unnamed where it was created. I think a lot of speculation is U.S. based folks. But it'll be interesting to see for sure.
right.
I do want to ask some of your thoughts, though. Your name's Nick Plays Crypto, so can you run me down like over the past couple of months? I know you're really interested in virtuals. What other parts of crypto were you playing? I'd say crypto now more than ever is just spread. Maybe thin is the wrong word, but there's just so many different branches that it has now versus a few years
Yeah,
ago everyone was just really focused on one thing.
yeah. Well, I kind of started. I started crypto just kind of looking at whatever, because there really wasn't that much stuff around when I started. So it was easier actually. Then I got on. I started getting more into like crypto gaming, probably around like 2020, 2021 maybe. It was 2020, I think. So yeah, I was doing that. I was like, I just was getting more into crypto. I'd already been through 2017 where there's only like maybe 100 coins that everybody was investing in. And then, you know, DeFi came out 2020 and, I kind of got back into that. And I started doing crypto gaming because I was just like, oh yeah, crypto gaming is awesome. I mean, it's just such like these two things would just synchronize so well, the crypto plus the gaming. So that was kind of where, and I kind of like, 2021 happened. That was big for me. Then, 2022, 23, kind of like took a step back. I was still paying attention a little bit, but just not like I am now. And then 2024, I was like, you know what? It seems like most of the information on crypto is on Twitter. So I'm going to start like a crypto gaming KOL type Twitter account. And I'm going to basically, make some content and try to just find my place in all of this. So I did that for a while. And, crypto gaming, I got a little jaded on it, as a lot of people have. A lot of it's just VCs rigging the game against the players and farming them and stuff like that. Not all of it is. There's some really good teams and some really passionate devs that treat their communities very, very well. But there's a lot of garbage out there too, and a lot of people that abandon the project or just mismanage it, the funds, whatever. So, then October comes around. I already knew about AI agents and stuff like that. I really didn't pay them too much attention. There wasn't really that much to look at. There was like Autonomous and a couple other chains or like, things on how they could like interact, the agents that is. And, I was like, okay, like, I don't know, maybe that's a thing. Maybe that'll be a thing. And then virtuals, I found that. And that's when it kind of clicked for me. I was like, oh, okay, like these things, are very easy to create and they can interface with the public very easily by connecting to Twitter and all this stuff. And now you have like this pump fund style platform for launching them, which I really liked because I wasn't a huge fan of meme coins. So I was like, oh, this is like meme coins, but it's like a utility type project. So it's like pump fund for utility. And utility, in my opinion, is a lot easier to evaluate the strength of a token because you're like, this isn't just like some, meme. Like I'm like, I don't, I guess if you're really locked into the memes and like, yeah, that's like all you are doing all day is just like seeing what's pumping on Pump Fun and all that, and you have the right connections, you could do really good in memes. But utility type stuff, I'm like, you can evaluate the project, the strength of the team, all these other little things that they're doing, and that's a lot easier for me to fundamentally make a decision on as to whether I want to invest in it. So that seemed easier to me than the meme coins.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I'm really curious in your mind, when you first got into crypto gaming and had fun with it, what would you say is like your ideal vision for crypto gaming, or what was sort of the end state that you envisioned? And then I'm going to ask you the same question for AI after, because I always am curious, because that's sort of where, in my opinion, all the base of speculation comes from, right? Like I remember with
Right.
NFTs, the whole idea was, hey, these are future Fortune 500 companies. They're going to be entertainment brands. You're getting in on the IP. Like that was the vision. So, in your mind, what
Right.
was it for gaming? Do you still think it's there?
I still think it's there. But I it's so funny that you say that because like I've been like that a lot. Like I look at that long term like ideal end game vision, and I almost at some point felt like that actually hurt the way that I was investing because I was like too ideological about it because of that. I was just like I wasn't looking at other certain things. It's almost like when you're investing and you start to like really understand crypto, you're like all about the tech, right? You're like, this project just has like better tech and everything. Like it's just, I understand it and it is better, right? And you're not wrong. But it's like that doesn't always translate to it, being something that a lot of people invest in. Maybe it's too early. Maybe people just don't understand it. Maybe it's like not needed at the time. Even though you're right, it is better tech. You're right. Right. But like, I don't know. So like, instead of like thinking that way, and I have my visions, like what would I think gaming would be like right now? I think gaming, if it wants to do good, I think that the people that make the games got to, and I wrote a post about this the other day, actually, go find it if you want, but the people that make the games got to stop calling it like even play to earn. Like just make like a fun game like that nobody even knows has crypto in it. So that way you're like targeting the market of people that like want entertainment, like fun entertainment. Okay. Then they just happen to discover that their items in the game are worth like, oh shit, I got this helmet and I can sell that for $100. These are better people to have in your community than the people that you're targeting by telling them they're going to earn money in the game, because they're just going to extract. You're setting up their expectations. And the games, if you're targeting a market that just wants to make money, you're creating a type of Ponzi scheme that can't be sustainable, because the early people that get in and make all the money on the game items or the NFTs or whatever it is, there's not going to be enough newer people coming in for them to sell all their stuff to. It just runs its course after a while. We've seen this with like every single game almost. So I've thought about this a lot, and I'm like, market the games in a way that just shows people how fun they are, and they're just like playing them because they're fun, and that's doable, right? Because Web 2 games, consoles, Call of Duty, League of Legends, all these things, there's no profiting in that. And how many people play those games? Millions. And they still play them. And some of these games are 10 years old. World of Warcraft, still people that play that all the time. They're only playing it because it's fun and the entertainment value is there. So, that's what you should do, is try to select for those types of people in the market, because they're going to create like a cohesive, sustainable community. And then, it won't just be a community based on extracting money, which is what you're kind of priming it as when you tell people you're going to make money playing this game. Just make the game, make it as fun as you possibly can. And then the crypto is just like a convenient side effect that happens. And you're like, oh shit, I made $1,000 playing this game. Like, I wasn't playing it to make that money, but I just did. That's the problem right now, in my opinion.
Dude, genuinely, that just like had so much click for me, and I think you're totally right. If we have editors listening in the audience, please clip this. No, but sincerely, dude, that was sick. Like, it makes a ton of sense. Like, I'm just, you know, replaying the past few years of crypto in my head, and genuinely, there really was that transition of people just building because it was cool or they had a fun project, to so many projects now are marketed as farming, right? Like,
Right.
it's just like, oh yeah, we have all these things
Yeah.
coming. Exactly, like, you're just inviting people to extract on the games that they're playing. And I'm already seeing the parallel too between that and AI, where when the first couple of agents came out, they were very impromptu. We didn't know they were coming. Stuff like AIXBT came out were just really
Right.
cool. Same with Cerebro. It was just really cool concept in what
Right.
people were creating. People had fun with it. Like, it was cool watching the content unfold. It was cool keeping up with it.
Right.
It genuinely had a lot of entertainment value, and it was just fun. And then again,
Right.
dude, like, my mind's just kind of really going in a lot of places right here, because the same thing could be said with NFTs. Like, when it first started, it was just, wow, this is really cool. The art's really good. This is digital art. This is awesome. And then towards the end, it was just like, how can we design the perfect project that will maintain a 5 ETH price and sell out? Like, the
Right.
incentives just change the game so quick,
It
dude. You're
just
so right.
it saps it just fucks everything up, because like there's literally different parts of your brain that are responsible for like when you're thinking I want to do something to make money versus I want to do something to have fun, right? So when you're messaging to your audience or to the community, or broadcasting a message to the world through Twitter, and you message it a certain way, like play to earn, or you start talking about anything associated with money, you're activating the parts of people's brains that are that are driving them to seek those things. So you're targeting like literally the wrong people. This is like goes down to like neurology, right? So you got to target the people that are just wanting to have fun and like be a part of a community and like, you know, learn some things, and like there's no profit motive there. And if there happens to be profit, then that's just like a bonus. And that's how people got to start framing things, and that's how they got to start thinking.
Oh man, dude. I'm just realizing like where it all went wrong, honestly.
I
Like the
know.
parallel really exists, dude. Like think about meme coins and shit coins, right? Like meme coins, even like Pepe, it's still fun because it's a counterculture and there's all these different derivatives and shit post formats. Like the best memes that were out there were genuinely funny. Like you'd see them on the
Right,
timeline and be like, okay, hell yeah, that's hilarious. Like
right.
I can't wait to get in on this. Or like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. I'm excited and it's funny for it to go higher. Versus now, like with Libra, people got in knowing it was just a full-on scam. And the whole idea is even if it wasn't a scam, what was it, right? It was
Right.
gonna
It's
be
nothing.
it's nothing. Yeah, why would you
It's
want that?
no, I know. It's so bad. Like, and a lot of people don't realize this. Like, maybe they just haven't like thought about it enough. Maybe they don't haven't been seen enough of it to like realize that this is how it's evolved. You know, it's just kind of over their heads. But that's what's going on right now. Is like we've kind of it's all become about profit and making money, and that's fine. There's always going to be that, but there's got to be some like leaders and like some projects that pop up that cut through that and like remind everybody what it's all about, you know?
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, one of the first AI agents that really caught my attention was this project Alk, if you're familiar.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, dude. And it was like cool because they built a no code platform, which isn't anything unique, but it like worked pretty well. And it was just fun going on Twitter and seeing like, oh, someone made a N64 emulator in this low code solution. Oh, someone made a profit trader, like something that people can engage with and create with. It was really fun. But that's, I guess, where the difficulty lies is with stuff like AI, people just get so focused on copying what is popping off. But
Right,
it's not like NFTs where it's really easy to differentiate yourself from other projects. Because I would say that was the strength of NFTs was that
right,
as long as you had an artist, your project could look completely different or feel completely different with relatively low lift. But now it's just a lot of like code stealing. It's really hard to stand out and come up with a unique idea in the AI space.
yeah. It's tough because you know, that's one of the problems of you know, it's a tough problem in Web3 or crypto because everything's open source. It's like very hard for anything to establish like a moat based on like proprietary code or whatever it may be. Like it's all open source. And you can take your code and fork it. And if your code isn't on GitHub or public, then no one's going to invest in it because they think you're a scammer. So you got like some of the moats are like your team. Like I got a team of like 10 guys, and some of these guys worked for like Google and Apple and stuff like that. That's a good moat. That's one of like the few moats you can establish. You know, it's a tough place. So then you know these projects get copied, they get reiterated over and over again. The differences may be pretty small between them, and it just dilutes the attention of people interested in that type of thing. So it's we still have like a lot of fundamental problems in crypto that are going to exist for a while, and I don't know the solutions to all of them, but it's tough, but that's how it is. That's how it is when you have like a new technology and it becomes, you know, more entrenched and more developed and more complex as it has become. I mean, even in just past 5 years, I mean, I'm 35. So like 5 years for me is like nothing, right? It's just changed a lot. Like 2020, COVID doesn't really feel that long ago at all for me. And, you know, even back then there was just like, not nearly as much shit as there is now. It was a lot simpler back then. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to be solved. Like I think what I said about the gaming stuff could make a big difference. Just focus on making like the most fun fucking game you can possibly make and try to just drive people there because everyone's just having fun doing it. But yeah, some of these other protocols or areas even the AI stuff, I'm like, it's very copyable. So yeah, I don't know. I think with AI, like the biggest thing I think that sets projects apart is the team. That's like that's what I started evaluating these projects on, was like how good their team was. And that's where I made a lot of good money, just because I was looking at things that way. I was like, oh, this team has one guy and that guy's pretty good, but this team has five guys and they're all as good as that one guy. Like no one really knows that this agent has five guys behind it. Once people figure that out, it's obviously going to do better. And there's little things that you could look at like that can help you decide where to allocate the money.
Dude, 100%. Also, trigger warning, you said Five Guys, now I'm thinking about cheeseburgers.
Yeah, good call. We just got one out here, actually.
Oh, did you really? The heck yeah.
Yeah, we did. I just saw it.
Dude, I
Yeah.
get like in fights with the MVHQ team constantly because I always talk about best fast food burger. I'm from the East Coast, so I'm always like Five
Oh,
Guys, and they're
nice.
like, you're out of your mind, but I'll die on that hill. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree. The teams are behind it. Like, I would love to see crypto get to a point where I know like prior to the AI agents, everyone was really fixated on real world assets. At least like I think the Twitter timeline was trying to convince people of
Yeah,
that. That to me seemed like sort of an industry plant where you'd see these big accounts be like, RWA is the next biggest thing. It's like, well,
yeah,
show me one example of it actually working in real life, and you couldn't. But
right,
you would hear like BlackRock and Coinbase are creating RWA. But in concept, like I love this idea of really being able to get in on the ground floor. So just taking
right,
that like stream from NFTs of, hey, this IP is going to be huge. You get it on the ground floor. Like I love that, and that's what I thought with these AI agents. It's like, whoa, you don't really have an open direct way to invest in some of these companies like OpenAI or, any of these other huge AI conglomerates. They're just already owned by corporations. So the idea of getting in on these like small AI startups was so alluring. But if you could just make that anything and everything, and somehow bring that to crypto, I would love that because you see with like YouTubers and streamers, they're the next big entertainers and celebrities of the next generation. If you could invest in their brands early on, I'm thinking of like Happy Dad, what they did on YouTube, and now they're a giant corporation. Like if you could start doing stuff like that and mix it with crypto, that's where I could absolutely see crypto's use case get a lot more real.
right. Yeah, it's that. Yeah, I mean that's going to be tough too, though, because like we're working against these centralized corporations that can keep things a secret, right? If YouTube, imagine if YouTube was open source from the beginning, would YouTube still be the most popular platform, or would somebody have just like copied the code and like made it slightly better or more popular, and we'd all be using that for a year, and then somebody else? So it's gonna be like tough, like to go against these. It's almost like the United States, we all have to vote on like a piece of legislation passing, and because of that, we just get deadlocked so often. But then like China, which is like a dictatorship, they can just say we're doing this. We don't care what anybody else thinks, and like that makes them a lot more agile in certain ways, and it gives them an advantage. And even Trump has said that. He's like, their leaders are smart and they can just do what they want to do a lot of the times. I mean, I know it's not exactly like that, but like it's tough for decentralized things to develop some type of competitive edge against centralized corporations, but I think it's doable. And as we get more and more into the future and like people have more and more privacy concerns and stuff like that, I think, they might migrate more and more towards the crypto and the decentralized stuff, but I don't know if we're there yet. I don't know if my neighbor really cares, like if Facebook has access to his data right now. I do, a lot of us do, but we're those types of people. We're surrounded by like-minded people, but like, does the average person? So yeah, there's some disadvantages to being decentralized. That's for sure. So I want, the decentralized YouTube, and I'm sure it's doable, right? Like the code has probably already been written. There's probably a project out there doing it right now. So why isn't everybody using it? I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, no, I mean that is another great point of just adoption, and like you see that every single day in crypto. I think for me, one of just the weird things of 2024 is how many new chains were launched, and going
I
back
know.
to your previous idea of like the tech is good, okay, who cares? It's like, yeah, you see blockchains like that's what we were so focused on in 2021 and 2022 was like, how can we create a blockchain where the gas fees don't get high? How can we have something that's scalable and fast? It's like, okay, we have scalable, fast blockchains. We have as many L2s as you could possibly dream of, but it's not like people actually use them.
Right. And we weren't wrong for thinking that way. That's the hardest part to wrap your head around. You have to like acknowledge like I'm not necessarily wrong. Like my logic was right, but like there's something more to this that I'm not seeing. And like what is that? It's like, well, there's a little thing called product market fit. And you know, it just happens to be it happens to have to be the thing that the market is looking at for the right time at the right time. You know, there's more that goes into it than just being the best tech. And that's, you know, as you do this type of stuff more and more and you get more and more into crypto, you mature in that way. And, you know, you start looking at things a little bit differently. You broaden, you know, your scope of how you see the landscape. And, you know, you drop a little bit of that ideological thinking. You know, it's almost like when you're in your 20s or like your teens, you think you got it all figured out. You're like really idealistic about things. Like, why doesn't the world work this way? It would just work so much better and all this stuff. And we've all been like that, right? But then as you get older, you're just like, there's reasons for all these little things, you know, and I might have been right, not wrong in theory, right? But like, there's a lot more that goes into it than that. So, you know, but yeah, that's why, probably one of the reasons virtuals did so good is they just kind of like nailed product market fit for their platform. And the ironic part of that is like virtuals wasn't even trying to do that. That was just like a secondary thing that they did. They were going to be gaming. You know, if you go look at the history of the Virtuals project, they were trying to create agents that could like interface with like Roblox and like other games like that. And then they happened to create like Luna, this like influencer AI agent, and put her on TikTok, and like she just like blew up. And then they created like basically pump fun for agents or utility projects, and then they're just like, holy shit, this is what everybody wants. Like they didn't like think about that ahead of time, like go into it with that being their main goal, but they just kind of like stumbled upon that. So, you know, even the smartest people or some of the best teams, they don't got it all figured out either. They just accidentally stumbled upon it. So that happens a lot too.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, 100%. And it's just so interesting with the market being so separated and segmented nowadays to see when that attention span does come and when it hits. And I'm curious from your perspective, because like I'm really resonating with what you're saying of it just used to be easier. Like
Yeah.
for sure it used to be easier. It was like everything that was coming out was in a very clear timeline. I remember when I first joined MVHQ, we had the daily drop and it was just on a calendar known days in advance, like, hey, this really hype project is going to drop in 3 days and all you have to do is be there and you'll
Right.
make money. And it was like, fuck yeah, I'll be there. Right. But now it's like, yeah, I have no idea what's coming next. Everyone on Twitter is telling me something different. Like, I'm curious from your perspective, how do you go about like looking for the next thing? And yeah, earlier you mentioned you're still paying a ton of attention to the market because there are opportunities. I completely agree. If you're willing to share, what's some of your process for just evaluating new things coming
Um,
out?
well, there's some important things to look at, and I've gotten better at this. I mean, dude, even at like the beginning of last year, I was like stupid compared to how I am now, and I'm stupid probably compared to how I'll be in a year from now too. But one of the things I've made the mistake of is one, like I said, getting too hung up on the tech. I mean, even as recent as last year, I was like still kind of like that. But another big thing is like now I look at the stable coin TVL of the chain. Okay. Like this is like, you know, you might go on a chain, you might be like, this project's like awesome. Like I could really like, it makes sense. I could really see people that are like into this. And then you go like on DeFi Llama and you like look up like the TVL. And I don't look up just like the raw TVL because that can fluctuate a lot depending on like their tokens price, the chain's token or whatever. I look at the stablecoin TVL because that tells me like how much money, real money, is like sitting on that chain, because that's going to help determine largely like how high a project can pump, right? Like somebody was launching an agent on like an L2 called Mode. Okay. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Great. It's like a gambling agent. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's cool. And I go look up the TVL of the layer 2 Mode, and it's got like 23 million TVL. I'm like, dude, there's agents that are like worth 5 times as much on base. I'm like, so how can a coin on that chain go like past even like 1 or 2 million market cap? Just can't. So like, that's one of the first things I look at. I'm like, I'm not even like gonna bother with some of these other chains, because like they might have like 50 million TVL, but like I'm like, dude, like Base or Solana has like billions. So like if any similar type project comes out on one of those chains, it's probably going to do a lot better because there's a lot more money floating around. So that's like one of the first things I look at, and you can look at the growth of it too. Like right now, Sonic, their TVL, stablecoin TVL is like going up a lot, right? And it's going up because they're like, they got a good guy that started, Andrew Cronje or whatever the fuck his name is. So he's well known in the industry, and they got like this whole airdrop they're gonna do like 6 months from now. Now, could it just all tank after the airdrop? Yeah, it could. Probably will, unless like the market's just killing it. But so look at that. That's probably step number one, to be honest. Like, don't even mess around on some of the, unless you're just like really passionate about it. But if your goal is to like make money, which a lot of ours are, you want to go where the money is. So that's probably step one, I would say, and probably one of the most important steps.
Dude, I totally agree. I've just been agreeing with you the whole time. And trust me, I'll be contrarian if I need to, dude. I'm not just trying to
Right.
be like, hey, you're on our show. We're going to agree with everything.
Oh, yeah, it
But
makes sense.
for sure, I mean, it's so funny. Like, to me, that's definitely one of the differentiators between people who have been through a few cycles versus just one cycle.
Right.
Like, you just look at more metrics across the board, and I think it's a lot easier to just objectively look at things.
Right.
Like, I'll tell friends, who are new to something, and to your point, they're just so fixated on tech, and it's tough with tech too, because a lot of it takes time, and they're focused on like, this team says they're going to make a medical bot that's going to, diagnose early signs of cancer in people. It's like,
Right.
that would be awesome tech
It
for
would be
sure.
great.
But look at the holders. It's probably a fake project because
Right.
90% of them are insiders, so I'm not going to buy it.
Right.
But like,
And not only
most
that,
people
like
aren't thinking.
90, that project's been tried 100 times by now, and it's failed every single fucking time. So it's like, you don't know that because this is your first time seeing it.
Did exactly, yeah. So I haven't heard of the Sonic chain or L2.
Yeah.
Is there anything that differentiates it from just
Yeah,
every other chain?
I think
we've
it's
seen?
actually a layer 1. It's like an EVM compatible layer 1. So EVM compatible just means like anybody that's created a dApp for Ethereum can like port their dApp over to this chain, and the chain's pretty fast. I think like 10,000 transactions per second, which doesn't really matter right now. It could matter in the future, but it doesn't really matter that much right now. Most of these L2s are like fast enough for how many users are using them. So they got a lot of DeFi projects on there that are like offering lots of pretty good APR on the stable coins, and then like you're getting like these points for the Sonic coin. The airdrop's supposed to happen. I haven't gone on it yet. It's been kind of like studying it. But yeah, you earn the points by like, earning APR, your yield, juicy yields on these DeFi projects. And then, and I think that's like attractive to people right now because the market's like so uncertain. It's like, they're not really like, why wouldn't you just like try to get APR on your stables? Get like 7 to 10% APR as long as it's like a sound project by good devs. It's not going to be like exploited or something, which is always a risk. That's attractive to people. So it's attracting a lot of capital. Now, whether that capital stays on the chain or not depends. Probably depends on how like rich the ecosystem becomes with like other stuff unrelated to DeFi. You know, and then like I said, once the airdrop happens, like, will everybody just take their money and pull it out? Once again, that depends on like how much other stuff there is for people to do on the chain. But yeah, check out Sonic. Like, go look at their TVL and look at how it's increased. I mean, it might be down. I haven't checked in a couple days, and markets sucked. So like, look at the stable coin TVL though, because like, if you looked at just the TVL, like the price of the Sonic coin has gone up a lot. It's probably like doubled or tripled since January. So it's like, that's what seems like it's making just TVL go up. It's the fact that the price of that token is like doubled or tripled. You want to look at the stable coin TVL, because that's not moving with the market. It's just telling you like how much liquid USD is flowing onto that chain. So yeah, I would, you know, Sonic, yeah, check it out. I haven't really explored it too much, but that's stuff you got to look at.
I appreciate it, dude. Yeah, I'm taking a look right now. I'm just searching on Twitter. It's funny because, like, of course, with the name Sonic, you're going to be dodging Sonic the Hedgehog posts like left and right. But
Right.
looking forward to researching it after the episode and definitely dipping my toes in over there. But completely agree with your approach, dude. I think a lot of it is just looking where the money is flowing and then trying to find the best in class over there. So, I mean, that was my approach with virtuals when it was popping off. Was the first thing was just identifying, hey, this market is hot. And I think the first thing
Right.
was Goat, right? Goat really launched off the meta there, and
Yes, it
that was an
was.
AI project. And then from there, I learned about AIXBT. Both of them just huge multiples, very
Right.
organic adoption. And you could see, okay, wow, like these are just scratching the surface of what's to come. And it was the same feeling when I found NFTs. It was like, okay, there's people making money, there's people trading this emerging asset class, but there's obviously many more iterations that can come from this. So with Sonic or anything else, I totally agree. The approach is to see where is their actual money located or where is money increasing. And then once you're there, that just kind of gives you the jumping off point of like, where should I funnel my attention? And then,
Right.
who knows what the project is currently on Sonic that's popping off, but I'm sure there's a swarm of builders who are putting like the best project on there right now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a matter of like locating the chains that you think are getting the attention and the money, and then like going exploring the projects. You know, ideally find the projects before they even launch a token, right? Because in order to get the highest multiple, you literally just want to get in as early as possible, right? So if they've already launched, you know, some of these projects never do better than like right after they launch. I hate to say it, but that's just the way it works. So, you know, if you want to really be safe, try to find projects that haven't launched, that are like no one really knows about them yet. You know, I do a lot of that by like searching stuff on Twitter, keywords, whatever, and then, you know, invest in it. Try to get in as early as you possibly can when the TGE happens, and then take your initials out plus a little bit of profit, and then just, you know, hold the rest, see if it spikes more, or just slowly DCA out or hold it. You know, if you really like the project and just entertained by it, hold it. But yeah, that's probably one of the best things you can do is find them early. You know, everybody knows that, but a lot of people don't actually practice that.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree. Like, I think especially in this market in 2025, you kind of have to front run a little bit more
Yeah.
because, like we said, you used to have the drop calendar and it was just show up and know how to mint and you have an advantage over everyone else who's late to the party. But most people in crypto at this point have been around the block, at least the active traders who are still trading during this, like, absolutely eviscerated market. They know how to trade. They've been there before. And, like, I just think about this last cycle with virtuals. If you were there within the first couple of weeks of it gaining attention, if you knew even of the prototype tab, this is before the snipers kind of came in and wrecked the fun, but you could just
Right.
buy anything that was about to go sentient and hit a
Yes.
nice like 5 to 10x pretty much every time just
Yes.
because you knew something that other people didn't. Like, it's crazy how
Yep.
that works.
Yep. It is crazy. Yeah. There's lots of like, especially being in the trenches like that. That's why I love trenches, but I don't really like meme coin trenches. I like tech trenches. And, you know, there's still a lot of speculation, but at least it's like backed by some type of like fundamental concept other than just like attention to a meme. And yeah, that's what I'm looking for now is I want more like tech type trenches. I feel like virtuals, whether people understand it that way or not, kind of like a little bit pioneered that concept. Like, okay, we had trenches on Pump Fun on Solana for memes. But like, where were the tech, the utility project trenches? And there wasn't really such a thing as that until AI agents, right? So I'm looking for more of those. Not that I think like virtuals is obviously doing terribly right now. Everybody knows that, but like I don't know if it's going to keep going that way. I think it'll probably come back to some degree as long as the devs keep improving the project, and the overall market does well. That's really the big thing. But will there be other like tech like trenches, utility type trenches on other healthy chains like Base? I think there will be. I don't know what they're going to look like. Maybe more AI agents, be something completely different that we haven't even conceived of yet. I don't know, but that's I like that, and I'm gonna keep looking for that type of stuff.
I love the mentality, dude. I'm right there with you. I definitely never stop digging into the trenches and just finding unique use cases. I mean, I think that's just where it's at with crypto. Like it has to. It might take some time for it to get there. I think certainly some of the concern in this past cycle was that it was going great for AI and then crashed so quickly. But we talked to Arena VS a couple of weeks ago, and they really just seem to have a great understanding of the space. Like, I love when I can talk to founders that aren't just like drinking their own Kool-Aid and are just totally ambivalent to the market conditions. Like when you have people that just won't even acknowledge what's going wrong and they're just like, yeah, we're just like an AI space and AI is everything and just using buzzwords. It's like, all right.
Yeah,
But they really address like, yeah, I mean, the speculation ran rampant. We had a lot of projects that were basically just vaporware that were getting a bunch of funding and a lot of extraction occurred. But this was just the first cycle of AI. So I
right.
mean, it's inevitable that we're going to see some really cool innovations and creation
Oh
just
yeah,
because there is money to be made. So if as long as we keep looking out for it, there's going to be something awesome on the horizon.
yeah. I agree. I think AI. I don't think it's going away. I mean, obviously everything's doing bad right now, so it's like really easy to focus on AI. But all the memes are taking a shit too, and pretty much everything else except for like some few standouts or special cases. And even those probably would pump a lot higher if the market was doing great, right? So, yeah, I think AI is going to be around for a while. I haven't really thought of anything that can replace it. I mean, maybe like RWAs, like people were saying, but I still think that's like so far off. There's a lot of like gaping logical holes with RWAs. Like maybe they could start with like stocks, tokenized stocks, but it's like, is that even an RWA? I mean, they're all digitally traded to begin with right now. So I don't really talking like physical objects here. Like how are you gonna like hold those in secure places where people can like trade their token for them and stuff like that? It's a bit much bigger issue than what people initially conceive of. So maybe like way down the road, RWAs could become a huge thing. But yeah, I think it's going to be AI for a while, especially just because you have the underlying technology of AI that's being developed outside of crypto. I don't think crypto's really had that yet, where like something's being developed outside of it that just happens to like sync up with it perfectly. I've tried to think of something else that's similar to that, but I can't really think of anything. So yeah, for all we know, they could develop AGI by the end of the year, and like then all these agents just have all these insane capabilities, and it's like just everything starts going nuts again. I don't know, but that's yeah, I don't know, It's not like I'm thinking that's going to happen, but there's developments that are happening outside crypto now that happen to like feed right into it. So yeah, anyone can think of a
Yeah.
similar thing like that that's happened before. I can't. It's like computer technology was already good enough. We already had the internet, all that stuff. We were already able to like run crypto on computers. So it's not like we needed better computers to be developed. Like I can't really think of anything other than AI that's like in the process of like being developed in its early stages that just happens to feed right into crypto. So yeah, if anybody knows of something, tell me.
Dude, I'll definitely let you know. And I mean, I have the same thought on RWA. Like, it seemed like an interesting concept, but you just run into the real life portion of, okay, well, you would probably need some sort of RFID tag like in these physical
Yes.
devices, because otherwise it's just the same problem of people, ripping off labels and
Yeah.
claiming that fake things are real and everything else.
Right. Right.
I will say, like, Courtyard, with what they're doing in
Courtyard.
Pokemon drops, it's kind of
Dude,
interesting.
I was gonna bring that up. I was like, that's like one of the closest things I've seen so far, because they have like a vault, right? Like, so, and it doesn't have to be a decentralized vault. Eventually, it probably will, but it's like I don't know how many vaults they have. I'm assuming it's just one, because I'm pretty sure it's probably pretty expensive to like run one of those right now. But yeah, you have a vault, and then you have like secure. I think they were using like Brinks to like deliver cards to people. So like, there's a lot of decentralized physical infrastructure, not even decentralized, just physical infrastructure that would need to be created for RWAs to like actually work. Some people have said like banks. That's what banks like morph into, as like crypto becomes like more of the ways people send and receive money and stuff like that, which could be, I don't know. But yeah, Courtyard. That's so funny you bring that up, because I've been messing around at Courtyard a lot too, and buying Pokemon cards and like stuff like that. And I was like, damn, this is like one of the first things I've seen that's like pretty close to RWA, like that's actually real and works right now. So, and it's not even like really that big of a crypto project, Like
Oh, yeah.
it's just like you can buy this with crypto, right? And
Right.
they just do everything traditionally, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I was
it's interesting.
I was gonna say, I feel like one of the biggest use cases, again, just completely under the radar, but MetaMask announcing that they're gonna be launching a credit
The
card,
cards, yeah, I saw
like,
that.
that's actually kind of interesting because I would say, the best credit cards you can get out there, at least if you look it up, most people will probably say Chase Sapphire, which I don't think is the best credit card out there, but like, you have an annual membership, and then I think it gets you like 1.5% back on all purchases, and then maybe 2 to 3 in certain categories. But the
Right.
MetaMask credit card is 3% cash back on everything, and you can
Which,
pay in
yeah,
crypto. So you could
right.
theoretically buy everything in crypto, which, at least for me, I prefer it. Like, I've definitely
Yeah,
bought a
it'd be
lot of
great.
Pokemon. Yeah, like, I've bought a lot of Pokemon cards from people over the past year,
Yeah,
and whenever I have the opportunity, if they take crypto, I'm sending that, because
right.
it's just a lot easier to
It's
deal with. So I
easier.
mean,
Yeah,
if we talk about the incentives, for sure, you got banks that can open up decentralized exchanges. The fees that they could collect are huge. I know they're talking about, for USDC, I think it's a 1% fee, 3% cash back, so it works out, but like, still a large fee for the banks and corporations to make. People could
right.
get yield for money in crypto on those cards, then cash back. Like, I think that would probably be the next step for RWA, is just more places accepting crypto, and then hopefully people just start storing their money in crypto outright. Like, that'd be huge.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Yeah, I think the card, that MetaMask, and I think there's a couple others right now actually that are doing the same. I don't even know if MetaMask is the first, to be honest. There might have been some like obscure ones that already existed. Now, I don't know what type of like middlemen are involved in that type of situation. Like, I don't know, is MetaMask like paying the vendors themselves? Like, I don't know how it all works. But yeah, in theory, that's going to be like far superior, because like, what if you can just like hold your USDC like in a good like DeFi protocol, and it's earning like 7 to 10% APR. It's like you're just spending money, but you're like not spending that much money because you're getting yield on it at the same time. I mean, that's probably going to happen soon. So yeah, it seems far superior to me.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Yeah,
Um, But yeah, we're about an hour and 15 minutes in, so I do want to open it up to the audience real quick. We got Suleiman, who's been requesting the entire time, and I see Johnny in the audience, or Junie. Junie, come on up, bro. I hear you talking about the FOMC tomorrow, or sorry, the CPI tomorrow. Give us your macro thoughts. Tell Nick and I all about it. But in the time, we got Suleiman here. We'll add him as a speaker, hop him in this conversation. But yeah, Nick, I just appreciate how you're looking at the space, dude. Like, I think very similarly about a lot of these things. So it's just been nice chatting about it and chopping it up.
absolutely, man. It's been a complete blast.
Dude, I completely agree. All right, Suleiman, we got you here with Nick. What's going on? Suleiman might just be chilling. All good, all good. Nick, have you gone to Five Guys yet? I know you said they just got one by you.
Not yet, dude. I saw it the other day. I was going to get some food at a place like very close to it, and I was like, "Oh shit, they have a Five Guys out here." It's the first time I've seen that. So yes, one of these days, probably within the next week, I'm gonna go give it a try for the first time. See how good this is that everybody says.
Oh, dude, yeah. Shoot me a DM when you do. I
I
mean, it's
will.
like
I will.
it's crazy, bro.
I
Seriously.
definitely will.
Um, Word. Well, I don't see any other requests from the audience, so we'll
All
probably get to
good.
wrapping it up. I do want to ask you if you've been partaking in Courtyard. Do you have any favorite Pokemon cards or anything on your list? Oh, dude, no way. We got Junie up here. That's crazy. All right.
There we go.
Yo,
Junie, what's
I
up?
heard you guys call my name, so I was like, I mean, I'm down. I'm down to chat.
Junie,
Uh,
heck yeah, dude. I see you're a Wall Street veteran. I see you're in crypto and equities. Can you tell us a little bit? The whole title of this episode is "When Will the Bleeding End?" I saw you have a post about CPI tomorrow. What do we got?
Man, I think it's so hard to say when all of this will end because I think at the end of the day, you need favorable macro conditions, right? And right now, there's like, I'm sure all of you guys know this, there's just so much uncertainty with, what Trump is doing with the tariffs and all of that. But I think in the long run, it's kind of similar to COVID when like things were just going left and right. And as time goes on, I think the market will start to get numb to what Trump is doing. Like everyone kind of knows that all this tariff stuff is a negotiation tactic, right? And you can see that he's getting exactly what he wants. And when he gets it, he backtracks the next day, right? So once he's been getting all of this, and if inflation comes in cool tomorrow, not hot, then that also positions FOMC to be like, okay, we can start cutting rates, right? But if inflation comes in hot, the market's going to be like, ah, shit, this is not good. You also have the dollar kind of weakening, which is exactly what Trump wants. Global M2 is going up as well, but it's what I see a lot of posts of people saying like, oh yeah, we're going to V-shaped recover and we're going up, next week or 2 weeks from now. It's like, dude, no one knows, right? With with this macro stuff, like it takes time for the market to start warming up again. And um and it's going to take time for retail to get back in as well. Now, I have friends, on hedge funds on the street. They're kind of seeing they're projecting that the sell off is going to stop, this week. The selling pressure will stop this week. But and they do think that the outlook for this year is still bullish for equities in both crypto. Now, but that's going to be very short lived. So, like, I think if we do see a pump this year, I mean, I think we will. It's not going to be like, hey, it's going to last, months. It'll be a couple months, and then I don't know. We're probably going down bad. But yeah, that's my take. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I totally agree, dude. I mean, I think it's definitely going to take some time, and I agree with the whole numbing thing. Like, it seems like at some point the market will be oversold, especially stuff like Solana, which is below where it was a year ago. I think Junie just left the call somehow, but yeah, I definitely largely agree. I think it's just a matter of time, but going to be hard to take it. He's just intimidated, Nick. He knew that you've been through a few cycles, and it would be something that would keep him up at night. Oh, he's back. He's back. All right.
It's all good. I gotta get going, actually, guys. I got dinner. It's about to be served here. I'm getting some looks, so I better get downstairs and join the rest of the fam. But hey, I appreciate you guys for having me. This has been like one of the best spaces and conversations I've had in quite some time. So if you ever do another one, Ross, invite me back up. I'd love to join you guys again anytime you want me to. So
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Really appreciate you making time. Been a pleasure talking with you, dude. Definitely let me know when you try Five Guys, and we'll rub it in MVHQ's face. But have a good rest of your night, man. Appreciate your
yes, I
time.
will, and it's gonna be the restaurant too. Not the other one.
Oh, dude, let's go.
All right.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'll catch you guys later. You guys take care. Have a good night. God bless everybody. Let's talk again soon.
Sounds good, Nick. Take
All
care,
right.
dude.
Later, guys. Bye.
Later. All right. Well, that was fun. And is it Johnny or Junie, by the way?
It's Junie, and sorry about that. I actually hit refresh on my webpage and it kind of just signed me out, but I'm
Oh,
back.
dude, you are all good. That's an Elon
Yeah.
Musk problem. But yeah, dude, I totally agree. There's just so much uncertainty. I do think people are going to be numb to some extent. It's just like this has been a weird spot for me, and I think other people, because I'm sure you've just been hearing for years and years and years, like, oh, the recession's coming, it's overdue, recession coming, overdue. So we haven't really seen a big scare in the market like this, and just the S&P is down 9% over the last 2 months. So we're halfway there basically to a recession, and then I think the question is it going to be even worse? So I think just the fact that the shoe was prolonged so long, and like everyone's been expecting it to drop for a while, and now we're actually seeing a very sharp correction. I think that's scaring a lot of people. But to your point, I think at a point it does get oversold, and people will look to buy it because there is a lot of sideline cash from larger investors. But when that's going to come, anyone's guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you just look at the data, right, in past historical cycles, not even outside of crypto, but when the Fed is done cutting rates, what happens, right? What's the whole point of cutting rates? It's to stimulate the economy. And usually that is a sign of, hey, we're going into recession, which is why we need to cut rates to zero, right? Um, so I do think a recession, or you don't have to call it a recession, right? I do think a downturn in the market is going to come eventually. Now, when that's going to come, and like how bad it is, I think the worst part is not going to be right now. I think it's going to be either late of this year or next year, right? And at the same time, if you look at, even just without the whole recession noise and like cutting interest rates, how the liquidity cycle works and how macro guys really think, those guys invest purely based on liquidity cycles. And it just so happens to be that, hey, you have 3 years of, you know, liquidity being injected from not just the US, but across the world. And 1 year usually of uh, contraction. So that's kind of how the whole crypto 4 year cycle, comes from. But if you literally if you compare the Bitcoin chart versus the Nasdaq or even S&P, man, it is correlated. Like you will see that, hey, when Bitcoin goes down in that 4th year, the S&P and Nasdaq are down as well. Now they might not be down like 80% because they're not risk on asset like Bitcoin, but it is correlated. So, until that 3 year, 4 year cycle of liquidity being injected and contraction, all of that, until that is broken, I think you kind of have to stick to that, right? So the outlook of 2025 to me still remains bullish. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with the cycles there, and just in terms of looking for points of support. I
Yeah.
think we probably would be in a bull trend. I mean, a lot of it just comes down to conviction too, is the main thing I'm seeing. And crypto is different from other places where a lot of stocks that make up the S&P 500, if not all of them, are going to come back. But in crypto, it's really only going to be those blue chip projects with active builders that are still going to stand the test of time. So I think that's why
Yeah.
people are kind of freaked. And to Nick's point earlier, there's just a lot of allocation to alts, a lot. But stuff like Bitcoin, no doubt, that's for sure coming back. And especially just with the strategic reserve announced, I would imagine that has a much higher floor than it did before. I'm seeing, in my mind, the lowest it would really go is just slightly below 60K. That was such a big resistance beforehand that I think it would act as really solid support. But I honestly don't even think we get to 60. I think 70K, a lot of buyers would step in. At least me personally.
Yeah. I mean, I think what was it, the previous pump from the election, you could see BlackRock literally accumulating when it first broke all-time high, and they had 7 months to accumulate. So I think they will protect that floor. Now, again, it could go to 16. No one knows, right? Like no one can actually predict this stuff. So whoever you guys are following on Twitter, people calling out numbers, like, dude, not even the smartest guy on Wall Street knows, right? It's just everyone's trying to like predict all these numbers. Like, dude, you don't actually know. You can map out demand zones. Like there's a strong demand zone at 74 to 67. I don't think we break that. We could, but like at the end of the day, it all just depends on macro, right? If inflation comes in hot tomorrow and FOMC does not sounds hawkish, like, hey, I think the original plan was they're not planning on hiking rates until June, right? So the the only thing that could come out of next week, I think, is probably them ending QT. And yeah, I doubt they're actually going to cut rates next week. It would be wild if they do, but at least from all my buddies who are still at hedge funds, like none of them are saying, yeah, it's gonna happen next week. They're all just like, yeah, no shot.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I don't think the Fed is Donald Trump's biggest supporter, and I think that would be crazy. But hey, if they do, then we're gonna snap back faster than anything you've ever seen. It's gonna be insane, the short squeeze
Yeah,
there. So that would be super fun. But yeah, I really doubt it unless there's some sort of executive order that can be passed to prove otherwise.
yeah. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on Ethereum's performance this cycle and whether you guys think this dog shit of a coin is going to make a comeback.
Dude, such a good question. I was really optimistic just because of base. I think that the strategic reserves also made it a little bit more promising. But yeah, if you look at where the builders are at, it's really on Solana. I think there's weirdly some potential just given how much political ties it seems that Ethereum has. It was mentioned in that strategic reserve. And, I mentioned it earlier in the episode here, but everything belongs on a risk curve, ETH included. So
Right.
when you start getting into larger players entering the game, a lot of these larger players are not going to be able to play the smaller games that us traders usually play, right? Because we're going to play stuff like AI agents, we're going to play stuff like NFTs, where the collective market cap for a project might be 10, $20 million, and a buy of, let's say, 100 grand is going to shoot that up drastically. So these giant companies that have billions and billions of dollars, they can't really play that type of game. So I think as crypto gets more institutionalized and I think more recognized by the populace, stuff like Ethereum could absolutely have a comeback because these big corporations are going to need to buy something. But in terms of performance this year, yeah, people aren't building on that chain. Like base chain was really only live because of virtuals, and that ended up being a flop very quickly just because they didn't build appropriately and like they moved over to Solana ultimately. So yeah, I think ETH ultimately just got its lunch eaten by Solana, and until there's new projects that are being built over there, I don't really see a short term catalyst to fix that.
Man, but even yeah, I guess it's a good point that you talked about virtuals, but I feel like at the end of the day, all the big projects are built on Ethereum, right? And now maybe I'm just trying to be an optimist, but I would say that Ethereum is probably most easily manipulated and controlled by Wall Street, which TradFi likes that kind of shit. Um, and I guess I don't even know if this is even a factor anymore, but like you have World Liberty Fi obviously buying ETH and all these ETH coins, but like that clearly hasn't done anything. Um, but I mean, I guess maybe I'm not as knowledgeable about the Solana coins, but my firsthand experience with Solana is more that it's more just like all these meme coins and all these Jeets on Solana. So it's like I think long term, is Solana still the winner compared to ETH, right?
Yeah, I think it is a great point, and it just depends how you define winner. And what I could tell
Yeah.
you is that in terms of daily active users, not even close, right? Like Solana just trumps ETH in that regard
Yeah.
and has for the past year straight, like not even close. Talking about fees earned, I think it was mid of last year that Solana flipped it and there was just no looking back. So to your point of the big projects are on ETH, I would ask you, are those projects still big? I'm thinking for NFTs, without a doubt, those projects were all on Ethereum, and I think that's just why so many people are over there. But in terms of things that are being built, so many projects have just gotten like farmed to death that the users just leave immediately after, right? So I personally couldn't tell you a project on ETH, like a single one right now, that is still relevant and still building. And I am biased because I spend most of my time looking at Solana, but I did look a lot on Base this year just for other stuff related to AI agents. And most of them just went to Solana because there was just way more volume over there.
Yeah. Thoughts on Sui though?
Oh, dude, yeah. I'm just like so biased about it too. Like it's my thought with that is it's similar to what Nick was saying earlier in the episode, and I'm not sure if you were listening or not, but his whole thing was the tech works, but who's actually using it? So Sui, it has great tech conceptually, right? It's basically just a faster Solana, but the volume is just not there. And like in terms of crypto, I think you have a few different classes of users. Like you have corporations that are trying to profit and get money from investors. But then I think the lens that I always view it through is through trading because that's what I do in my day to day. There's just not as many opportunities there. Like in terms of Sui, I don't think the marketplaces are as built out. I don't really think there's as many shitcoins or meme coins. And that's not to say that there aren't opportunities there, because I'm sure there is, right? Like I'm sure if you go to AVAX was the perfect example a couple of weeks ago. If you were on AVAX, you had a really good window of coins to trade. But does that mean like AVAX is suddenly a bigger chain than Solana? Like not really. So in terms of Sui and all these other chains that are coming out, they just get faster and faster and more scalable. But like my question is ultimately, what does it matter? Because Solana had all the users. So this is a good time where like it could get dethroned because there's trust issues with some prominent builders on the Solana chain. But the ultimate thing I would be doing is looking at something like DeFi Llama and just looking at what is the TVL, what is the volume, and then how many users are actually prominent on those chains. And I think that's all that matters. If there's no users, there's no chain.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're insanely bullish on Solana. The chart just looks fucked right now though.
Oh, dude, yeah, I was literally gonna say fuck no. Like I am out of Solana, dude. I am pretty
Okay.
much just in Bitcoin right now. I do have some ARK
Yeah.
because I think that's a good risk reward position right now. But I mean, I'm just like in Bitcoin because that's the only asset that I think will stand the test of time. I think right now you just
For
need to
sure.
be locked in on new stuff coming out and just wait. But yeah, I mean, I was for sure bullish on Solana the last 9 months to a year. No secret there. But I always just try to look at what is the market telling me. And right now, it like with the events of the extractors prominent in Solana, that was for sure going to go lower. There was no doubt about that.
Yeah. At the end of the day, crypto is all just about hype and attention, you know.
Agreed, dude. I completely agree. I do have to wrap up this episode because I got to get ready to head out to dinner here. But Junie,
Yeah.
appreciate you popping in, dude, on such short notice. I thought it was a shot in the dark, but I saw your profile. I shot you a follow, and definitely would love to have you back up here sometime. It seems like you have a lot of knowledge on the market, so would love to chat more at a later date.
Yeah, of course. And thanks for inviting me. I was not expecting that, but definitely had a blast chatting.
Yeah, dude, really appreciate it. Big shout out again to Nick Plays Crypto for being our guest of this episode. It was a lot of fun. Great talking to everybody here. Join us every Tuesday for some Does Compute. Be safe out there, guys. I know it's been red, but times will get better, and we'll catch you next time.